Well, the Darien Gap is really far from the U.S. border, but it it matters just as much as Mexico because the Colombia to Panama migration passage is where the multinational richness comes from, meaning all the nations of the Middle East. Yeah, there you go. All the nations of the Middle East, uh, Chinese, everybody from the continent of Africa, whether we know who they are or not, must to get here cross into and land in South America first, and
Mm.
then cross through the Darien Gap. Now, we've had about 400 people apprehended at our border who are on the terrorism watch list, who are already, that is an absolute record smashing number. We've never even had close to that, not even a tiny 0.00649% of that number reach our border. And they are believed mostly to have come through the Darien Gap. So the Darien Gap absolutely matters. The reason I went down there is because, under Biden, it went from 10,000 a year crossing through there, never more than that, or rarely, if ever more than 10,000 a year, to 550,000 last year alone, 350,000 in 2022, 135,000 in 2021. So literally, we're pushing close to 2 million foreign nationals from 160 different countries
Wow.
through there. And the Panamanians just flat had enough.
Mm.
So they elected a new president who promised that he was going to close the Darien Gap, which should be music to the ears of any American administration except this one. That's why I went down there, because I wanted to give it a couple of months. They started July 1st, and then go down and see if it was working, what was happening. That's the reason I went down there. The Panamanians can't really do this, close the gap, unless they have full American cooperation, because they need flights, deportation flights. It's jungle. You can't just push them back into the jungle. They'll die out there. You have to be able to fly them home. And that's the humanitarian way to do it.
So this program was going to fly folks who had gotten into the Darien Gap back to their home countries?
Yes. Once they get to the Panama side, the plan is to round them up and start shipping them all the way back to their home countries, no matter where they are in the world. Well, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Those are long haul flights. And you need diplomatic muscle to make those countries receive them, to take them.
Yeah.
That's why you needed the Americans on board to force that issue with all these different countries. Panama doesn't really have the oomph, the diplomatic oomph on its own to get, Cameroon or, the Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, to do something like that, to take them back, or China.
Right.
Or India, et cetera. And they needed the Americans to do that. Plus, they needed American funds to pay for those flights. And the Americans said, yeah, we'll do it. Because what else would any normal country say to a proposition like this? Of course, what can we do?
Right.
Except that it turns out that the Americans are welching on the deal. They said, yeah, we'll do it. But they're not providing either the diplomatic muscle or the cash for the flights. And so therefore the Panamanians are like, hey, we're still waiting on the check. And in the meantime, we have no choice but to just let everybody through. And that's the status quo. They're letting everybody through. They didn't get the diplomacy, and they didn't get the check. They signed an agreement, but if you read that agreement, there's fine print in that thing. The worst thing to me probably is, Molino is holding press conferences saying, where's the money? He went public and said that the Americans privately told him that they were only going to support flights that were filled with immigrants who had volunteered to be on the flights. So, I mean, it's absurd what they've done, that left Panama kind of just hanging out there by itself. The Colombians were supposed to be big partners in this. You asked what I found over there, and I found the Colombians are just business as usual on their side.